And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into the Status Network, the live TV channel. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. And as we do every second and fourth Wednesday, about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, let's get ready to have a conversation with some great people doing some great things across the board in entertainment, business, community, and more. So before we get into tonight's first guest, we want to make sure that we take care of a quick station announcement and a couple of reminders on how you may stay connected with me, the host, the author, Andrew Snorton. With the Status Network, we sincerely appreciate you supporting the show, supporting the channel, supporting all of our channels, as well as all of our shows, radio stations, music, and more. To best enjoy tonight's show, make sure to go to Roku or Amazon Fire Stick and go ahead and tune in to Status Network. On your social media platforms of Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms, make sure to connect with Status Network as well as LYVE Live TV. For those of you that have room on your smart devices, make sure to go ahead and download the Status Network app, click on channels, click on LYVE TV. See, I'm so excited that words are just coming up from nowhere. And of course, statusnetwork.net. When you see the big old pop-up box, click on the menu for Conversation Corner and you are good to go. And real quickly, quick station announcement, quick station reminder. Let's go ahead and get that up. If you or someone you know is interested in video production, that's not only broadcasts like tonight, podcasts, other special events, make sure to look here at the Status Network. We have multiple television channels based on the area you want to go in, radio, and more. So make sure to connect with us today and join the team and be a member of the future of broadcasting. And a couple of real quick things, make sure to stay connected with me. Remember, I'm an author. Books are available on Barnes & Noble as well as Amazon. So we've got something for the poetry lovers with Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton, something for the motivation and inspiration on 9 Stories of Faith Volume 1, and something for the baseball fans in Nothing Minor. So make sure to check us out at the information provided. And if there is not anything else, actually there is this Saturday, that's right, Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Please make sure to not only get tickets for the Music City Diamond Classic, which features a baseball series with Lane College and Tuskegee University, but that's right, yours truly will be doing in-stadium book signings on April 17th and 18th of Nothing Minor, focusing on baseball, the Negro Southern Leagues Museum, and more, and a portion of the book sales will be donated to the host nonprofit Black College Sports Group 360, which in turn ultimately supports community programs and our historically black colleges and universities. So make sure to check them out. Make sure to check me out. And enough about checking those things out. We're ready for our first guest, and they've been guests on the show before. This is a great collection of individuals that are coming together under the lens of fraternity. And we are so excited to have members of the Alphas of Atlanta to join us. And we want to make sure that we get them plugged in. So I see one of the committee members on, Dr. Theron Jones, and I believe we have also co-chairs Michael Jones and Robert Cunningham joining us. Theron, we see you. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, it's great. Good to see you. Look at you, braved up and everything. So good to see you. Mike Jones, how are you doing this evening, good sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, doing great, and thanks for joining us on the road. Please be safe out there. And do we have Robert Cunningham joining us? Robert, how are you doing this evening? Okay.
There it is. I owe $1 to the pot because I was on mute.
Okay, Robert, it's good to see everybody. Robert, we're going to start with you first. Give our viewers a brief point of reference about Alphas of Atlanta, as well as a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, because there still might be some people who just don't know.
Got it. Well, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity is the first Greek-lettered intercollegiate fraternity, founded in 1906 in Ithaca, New York at Cornell University. By 7 men who came together really to just give each other support. If you can imagine the turn of the century in Ithaca, New York, just kind of what that environment was like. And so, they needed to support each other. And so from there, we have, chapters all over the country, all over the world, really. And here in Atlanta, we actually have 9 chapters that's spread across the metro Atlanta area that services different communities. And so the Alphas of Atlanta is really that collective. So even though we have a chapter in Gwinnett, a chapter in Henry, a chapter in Douglasville, one in South Fulton, et cetera, we all come together to do things, to do things together periodically. And so one of the things that we have going on this spring is the Alphas of Atlanta Open. And that's what we're here to talk about this evening.
That is awesome. So it's a history of leadership, service, community outreach. And then, like you said, with the committee, the Alphas of Atlanta, it's all the member chapters coming together. Mike, I'm going to pivot to you because while a number of people are familiar with the Alpha Derby weekend, we know that because of COVID times, we have to do things a little bit differently. Walk through with our viewers the Alphas of Atlanta Golf Open.
Well, you know what? Again, Rob, laid the foundation down regarding, what Alphas of Atlanta is and what we're doing with the Open. I'm not a professional golfer, but, I would like to defer that to Dr. Theron Jones. Since he's a golfer, he can explain more about the golf tournament.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to pivot to Dr. Theron Jones. So Dr. Jones, walk through with our viewers a little bit about the Alphas of Atlanta Golf Open and some of the great moving parts that really make it, a very good event to keep on the radar for later on this month.
So the golf tournament, we're having an inaugural Atlanta's Alphas of Atlanta Open to add the golf tournament to our normal weekend of events for the Alpha Derby. This year, the golf tournament will be at the Chapel Hills Country Club in Douglasville. It'll be on April 30th, a Friday, and it will host about 80 to 92 golfers, depending on how many people we sign up for that. It'll be a best ball shotgun start tournament, which means we'll start a foursome on each hole, each of the 18 holes, and they will all rotate through 18 holes of play between 9 and 1. We'll have closest to the pin on a par 3, longest drive on a par 5, just different competitive little additives to the tournament to make it fun for our guests. Afterwards, we'll have a mixer from 12 to 4 for those golfers to get together and mingle with other networkers in the area and our sponsors and our hosts to turn into an all-day event.
So to make sure I have it correct, this is the inaugural golf tournament, and in your first time doing this, you pretty much have all the golfing spaces sold out, like all the player slots were sold out. Is that correct?
Well, from inception, from the time that our co-chairs, Mike and Rob, brought the idea of possibly having a golf tournament as an outdoor event in these COVID times, something we could still serve our patrons and have safely done. From the time of that inception to the time of selling out was approximately 9 days. And I think Mike can attest to that or correct me if I'm wrong.
It was 9 days.
Just the interest that we have of people wanting to get back out safely, to have a good event that's good for the hood, as we say, party with a purpose, and to support our initiatives for the last 7 or 8 years of what we've been doing with Alpha Derby speaks volumes to the impact that we've had on the community and also the image and the name that we carry. And that's big for us right now. So we've been able to still service our patrons, still service the 8 chapters that Rob mentioned that we're having the metro area with scholarship funds from these raisings. So the golf tournament is just an extension of that and another idea of how we can bring folks together.
Wow. So it just sounds like you're taking the innovation and creativity from the Derby and now you're applying it for another event. Rob, I'd like to speak with you for a moment on that. So here we are. The Alphas of Atlanta have a solid track record of outstanding events, supporting outstanding causes. If I'm somebody who wants to find out more or how to get connected, what are some of the options that are available to me to help support this event?
All right. So for this particular event, it's the Alphas of Atlanta Open is the website. So you can go to alphasofatlantaopen.com and you'll see a listing of, listing of the event, the contest that we're going to have, because we're going to have like Darren was saying, with Dr. Jones, we're going to have like the closest to the pin and the longest drive, that sort of thing. But we're also going to kind of have some fun with it too and have like a best dress contest. So we have like a best dress for the women, best dress for the men. So if you can imagine guys out in their old school, knickerbockers and neon and all the plaids and all that stuff, and just really have fun with it. So that's going to be something that we do as well. And then also, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our title sponsor, Brown Foreman, who is the owner and the manufacturer of Woodford Reserve. And so they've been a great partner with us from Alpha Derby for years, and then now for the Alphas of Atlanta Open. They've been a really good partner with us, providing scholarship dollars as well as sponsorship dollars, or partnership dollars as they call it. So goodies, and we'll have goodie bags for the golfers. We'll have, like I mentioned, a networking event with free pours from Woodford Reserve, et cetera. So it's going to be a good time. And like I said, right now, like you mentioned, the golf slots have been sold out. But if you are a sponsor, you don't necessarily have to golf. You can also, we have whole sponsorships as low as $100. So if you can imagine me being a small business owner, for $100, I can have my sign out, I can put things in a goodie bag, I can come out to the networking event that we're going to have right after the golf outing. So, for a low barrier of entry, you can get some good exposure to, 100 plus, upperly mobile folks with disposable income. So this is going to be good. I mean, and right now we have a number of sponsors already. Like I mentioned, our title sponsor being Woodford Reserve. But I think overall it's going to be something to see.
So again, it just sounds like, from what I've seen from near and afar, it's about doing quality events, doing it for a quality purpose. And again, you can still have an outstanding event that's accessible. Reiterate again, if anyone is out here who has a small business or not so small business, walk through again what those the sponsor levels start at. And then the second thing, let's say I'm not a business, I'm not a player, and I just want to come out and support. So could you walk through with our viewers again those two key ways that they can be engaged with this event?
Yep. Michael, did you want to take that, or you want me to knock it out?
Man, go right ahead, Rob.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So as far as sponsors are concerned, like I mentioned, we have like very low barrier of entry, like I mentioned, $100, and so get you at least a signage. But we have various levels. So we have like a $500 sponsorship where you can get your business information, like on the golf cart that drives around. Like I mentioned before, we have our title sponsor already. We have $1,000 sponsorship levels as well, and that $1,000 comes under normal circumstances would come with a foursome into the event. But again, that's been sold out now. So, but in terms of like, if I'm just again a non-golfer like myself, like Mike mentioned, we don't necessarily golf, but those consumers will have the opportunity. Number one, you can go on our website and donate. So if you just getting towards the middle of the year and the end of the quarter and all that jazz, and if you want to make sure that you, for whatever reason, like for tax purposes, et cetera, want to do a donation, you can certainly do that. So you can go on our website, Alphas of Atlanta Open, and do that. And then if you just want to come out and support, like I mentioned, between 12 and 4 that same Friday the 30th, everyone is working from home these days, and we're flexible, et cetera. So that'll be an awesome opportunity to kind of kick off the weekend. Come on out. And again, between 12 and 4, we have that networking event that we're actually calling the 19th hole. So for the non-golfers, the golf course goes to 18 hole, and so we're kind of calling this the 19th hole. So something that you do right after, again, where we'll have all the sponsors have the ability to network with the golfers, and then our title sponsor as well, Brown Foreman / Woodford Reserve. And so if you want to get involved, you can just come out to the 19th hole event and actually get some good networking done. So it'll be nice. It'll be poolside. We have a DJ. DJ Tron, I believe, is already secured. So we have a DJ. We have free pours from our title sponsor. We'll have high boys up and nice decorations. And it'll be a good networking event. Step and repeat so you can take all the selfies that you want to, et cetera. So if you don't golf but still want to support, you absolutely can come out to the 19th hole event, and you can get tickets to that. Still are available on alphasofatlantaopen.com.
Well, I'm glad you walked through that with people. I know that while I've got a couple sets of clubs, my game is probably about as smooth as sandpaper. So thank you for allowing us rough and raggedy golfers an opportunity to be a part of this. Dr. Jones, anything else that you'd like to add? We know that you've got a little bit of expertise as a golfer, but again, what do you think makes this event the special event that it is about to be?
I think because it just gives people the great opportunity to get back out for a cause. I mean, people love to get out in the springtime in Atlanta, as we know as well. But we've been locked down for a year in the pandemic, and to provide patrons and the public a safe environment to get out and just have a great time, and to know that your efforts are going towards something extremely positive in the community and throughout the Metro Atlanta. It's a win-win. So it's an easy sell for the people to come out and have a great time. So the brothers are excited to get out. Patrons are excited to get out. Guys haven't really been able to golf like this for a while, so we're providing an outlet and a venue for golfers and non-golfers alike, as Rob just explained. And the 19th hole event will provide a nice icing on the cake for the end of our inaugural tournament.
Awesome. And for Mike Jones, I know you're hopefully you're navigating through safely. Are there any other things you'd like to add on top of the great work that the committee is doing, and obviously the great insight that both Dr. Jones and Robert Cunningham have provided?
Yeah, quick thing. I just want to thank the community for your support. Again, this is the second year we're not having Derby, and we definitely made these moves to keep everybody safe. I think Dr. Jones really hit it home. People want to come out, people want to engage, but we want people to do it safely until the pandemic subsides. So again, I want to thank the community for supporting Alphas of Atlanta's mission and supporting our events. We appreciate you.
Great. And Rob, I'll have you close out. Remind our viewers again, before we go to our first commercial break, remind our viewers again the date, the website where they can get the information, and again, reminders for our business community, and reminders for people who, again, just want to have a nice afternoon out with appropriate distancing and protocols and all that good stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, so just kind of wrapping up, like I mentioned, alphasofatlantaopen.com, you find all the information in terms of what levels of sponsorships are still available, et cetera. And so just a quick rundown again. So it'll be Friday, April 30th. We're at Chapel Hill Golf Club and Country Club out in Douglasville. So head out I-20, head out west. As soon as you hit Chapel Hill, it's south of I-20, and it's maybe about 3 or 4 minutes away from the highway. So real easy to get in and out of. Like I mentioned, it's Friday morning, April 30th, and shotgun start, like Dr. Jones mentioned, and we're starting at 8:30, and then from there, like I mentioned, from 12 to 4, we're having our networking event called the 19th Hole. Again, tickets are available at Alphas of Atlanta Open. And if you are a business owner, I mentioned small businesses earlier, but like I mentioned, we have Brown Forman and Woodford Reserve as our title sponsors. So, all levels in between. You're a dealership, and you have your own insurance agency, et cetera. All of those sponsors, we have various levels of sponsorship for you to come into in terms of dollar amount, but also we have exposure opportunity. Like I mentioned, we already sold out for our golfers, so we know we're going to have 100+ people, that are a captivative audience for pretty much all day from 8 to 4. And so you have the ability, again, we'll have a screen up where we'll have logos running all day. We'll have a step and repeat with your logo on there. We'll have the ability for you to put things in our goodie bags, and that goodie bag is going to every attendee, golfers as well as attendees. And then, we'll have signage out on the golf course, et cetera. So again, for a very low barrier of entry, you get an opportunity to get some really good exposure. And then finally, for those that are not golfers, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have that networking event, the 19th hole, and tickets are still available for that one. And again, you have an opportunity to rub shoulders with the sponsors, with the golfers, and with the committee, the host committee as well. So that's a great Friday afternoon, April 30th, a way to kick off the weekend. And then also too, don't forget the Derby is the next day. So even though we're not having a formal Derby event, we still wanted to try to do something and tie it around the Derby weekend. So we're kicking the Derby weekend off with the event on Friday. So be on the lookout for that.
Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out to share with us your event. And again, ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendars for April 30th. We're going to go to our first commercial break, and we come back. We'll go with our second guest of the night here on the Conversation Corner. Doing good, but doing it greater. That is the focus of Creative Community Solutions. From their education-based services, press and media services, writing and editing services, as well as coverage of a wide range of events. Connect with them today at the information provided and make it happen. When it comes to getting the picture, look no further than Chris 10 Media. Add them on Instagram for photography, video, film, documentary, commercial, and other related needs to help build your brand and make it happen. When it comes to artwork, graphic art, custom skates, and other custom art, make sure to connect with kikihummingbird.wixsite.com. Now, these skates belong to the one and only Shaquille O'Neal, but make it happen and connect with them today for your customized artwork. Let's simply cut to the chase. When it comes to virtual assistant services, cleaning services for businesses, residences, and other related entities, make sure to connect with Ariel Chase and Associates at the information provided so that way they can help you make it happen. And you better listen to your corner and get your merch today. That's right. Make sure to add and connect with Watch for the Hook at the information provided for shirts, hoodies, and more. Great merch for basically any type of year, any reason, any season. And finally, make sure to connect with me, and you can get a copy of any of my books on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Add and connect with me so you can find out the bookstores that you can patronize. Remember, in supporting me, you're helping me support others. Take care. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back for our second segment of the Conversation Corner. And I tell you what, being a New Jersey native, when you get a chance to connect with someone from the Garden State, and I know some of y'all say people from Jersey are rude, but I'm real polite. I'm manageable. I have home training. I open doors. And just like me opening doors, our next guest, Dontae Muse, I tell you what, door opener and a half. Dontae, how you doing, good sir?
I'm good, Mr. Norton. It's Dontae, but I'm here.
Okay, so hey, you were so polite about that. Dontae. So Dontae, of course, representing the great state of New Jersey, and you've got two of the many moving parts. You've got two real great moving parts that we're going to talk about. But first, give our viewers a point of reference where you're from, and before you jumped into the entrepreneur end as well as the author end, what were some of your other moving parts that you had going on?
All right. So I am Dontae Muse. Real last name just happened to be made for the artistic life. I am born and raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I currently reside in North New Jersey, which is right next door. And my art gallery is in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So Jersey through and through. My background has been mixed. Event planning since I was 11 years old, literally. Doing my own events and, charging people to come in, selling soda, water, everything. So started entrepreneurship early, even though I didn't see that as a path that I could sustain just because I hadn't seen that around me. I happened to be intelligent, always really good in school, came really easy. So I was told, go to college, go traditional route, find a job, get some quote unquote security that I think all of us realize now is an illusion, especially through this pandemic, especially if you're not controlling the situation. So I went that route and, been in music, been in finance, been in sales, been in investments, done a little bit of everything. My learning curve is kind of fast. Once I'm capped on what I feel like I can learn on my growth, I'm ready to move on and challenge myself for something else and learn something else. So all of that has come together into what it is that I do now, and where art is my lifestyle now. I'm really getting at how I live. How I live is also how I support my lifestyle. So start.
Wow. And so again, it's great when people have an idea of what did you do that got you to this point. So let me ask you this question. Let's start with the art gallery. We have people who have different levels of art appreciation because they do it or they see it or what have you. What would you say was the motivation or catalyst for you to take your connection with art and bring it to this level?
There was a few, and really our path was unfold for us. I'm co-owner of the spaces. It's me and one other person is my partner. And we were coming from seeing, us and our people get abused in spaces that were owned by other people, being charged more for different nights, just being handled very differently. So we knew we needed to control our own space, and that it just wouldn't be everybody Black and somebody else reaping all the benefits. So we set out to do that, my partner and I. And during that, we realized a couple of other gaps that needed to be filled in terms of visual artists. We come from music primarily. I started playing, trumpet and a bunch of brass instruments since like 4th grade. Started DJing at 12 years old. Music was our biggest thing. And we wanted a space to be able to do that. We incorporate music now into what we do, but the focus switched from the audio arts to visual arts when we ran across a couple of our artist friends, one in particular who originally wanted to do the gallery with us. And then later, as we started pulling the business together, decided he wanted to go and just do something different, which was cool. That's our brother. So that was cool. And we support him in everything that he did. But we saw that gap that he really pointed out, and we sought to fix the problem. There's a lot more artists and galleries, and everybody has been benefiting from Black art, regardless where it comes from, Africa, Haiti, Jamaica, wherever, Black art. And we, as Black people, haven't benefited from it. All our art, all our artifacts have been stolen, ravaged and appropriated, and we don't get credit for a lot of the things. So we're looking to be the change instead of just complaining about things. So, we're going through a process of educating our public and our collectors. A lot of them actually don't even know there's an art gallery that they come to, because we're still incorporating the events and, music and different things that we've already submitted a track record and knowing how to do. And we're bringing all that together, and now people coming in and they're seeing the art and they're becoming collectors. So one hand wash the other. We're using what we knew and applying it to, what we've been learning, and it's working.
And it sounds like it's part transferable skills, like you were saying before, taking the best of what you've done in music and applying it to art. And another thing, as you were breaking down some of the things that happen, is providing a safe and creative space for artists. So it's really, yes, it's business, but it's more to it than just business. Walk through with our viewers some of the types of events you've been able to have at your art gallery. Obviously art, but there's other tie-ins with the creative, I'll say with the creative world. Can you walk through with us some of the other great things that take place at your space?
Yeah, definitely. So again, a lot of the patrons don't even necessarily know that they're coming into an art space. They just might hear of, one of these events and come into the space and realize it then. Most Black people haven't grown up visiting art galleries. If you visited some museums, it probably was like a school trip or something like that, and probably didn't hear about anybody that looked like you, that was in there being exhibited. So you probably didn't even see that as an option. And most of us stay away from galleries. So we didn't want to approach it that way as come see the art. We want you to come and you'll see the art when you get there. So we have, we have spoken word events, all the arts really. So we do, performing arts, audio arts, all types of visual arts. We recently had Omar Edwards, who was Sandman on Apollo for like a decade. He actually happens to be Savion Glover's first cousin. So he's also, I don't know if it's hereditary, but he's also an amazing tap dancer. So we've had him perform recently. We have live bands. We do an event called a Black Wine Tasting, where we highlight Black wine makers. And we raise awareness of the product. Like a lot of people want to support us, especially now there's been a big consciousness shift right before, which made it fit into the pocket, but especially since the Black Panther, to where we appreciate more of us and wanting to circulate our money in our community more and all of that. So we're providing an opportunity to do that for people to come in and support people that look like them, and they happen to be artists. So we have a bunch of different events. We actually also do some community events, which are free to the community, which are art therapy, which we don't call art therapy. Again, it's about tact. Most people don't want to go to therapy, period. So they probably not coming to pay to go to that. But we'll put it in the form of, a workshop, paint class, or paint and sip even, where we might offer it to the transitional community, also known as homeless, or we do a bunch of, food drives. We've had, healthcare signups. Like we do a lot to just raise awareness and also to give. And when we give, people, tend to give back.
That's amazing. And again, like I said, it's not only a business, but it's a creative and safe space. Now, a great extension that you are doing, in addition to what you're doing for the art gallery, is wearing the hat as an author. Can you walk through with our viewers the books that you have done and the themes or mission or purpose behind it? Because again, there might be someone arts-wise or otherwise that needs to, flapper term, add to your library. Hint, add to your library.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense. So I've written a couple of different ebooks, but as far as actual, physical books, which you can also get in ebook form, I have a series. It's called Tripping Over Canvases. So the first one is how to open your own art gallery with no prior experience. I know how to do that because I did it. So I documented the process. I made sure I included a lot of nuances in there that you wouldn't know unless you happen to be going through it. With that type of experience and wisdom, it can help circumvent a lot of pitfalls that you might come across if you were looking to do it on your own. So that covers both, brick and mortar and any type of, online gallery that you might want to do, which are becoming the rage now, considering, we're still kind of locked down, during this pandemic. So beyond that, the second book is Tripping Over Canvases, how to become a successful entrepreneur. It's actually the one I have here right with me now. So this book covers anyone who wants to be successful as an artist, as a creative, period, because it's not also just visual art. I'm both mentor and cover other types of art in the book as well too. But it's really about setting yourself up properly as a business, because as an artist, you produce a product. You produce a product which has value, seen as value. It gets sold, which is commerce, which is business. So you are a business as an artist. So you should conduct yourself accordingly. So you should have your business set up, some type of a corporation, you should be working on doing things like building business credit, especially as an artist, because we see laws and lapses in our payments. You might get a huge commission, but it might be a while before you get another one. So you need something to keep that coming in, so you're not just blowing through everything you have. So it really covers setting up your business properly, different ways to get income. Art money is a huge chapter in there as well too, and just being able to build community and to grow and advance in what it is that you're doing and how to get other people to speak for you, so you don't always have to promote for yourself.
Wow. So it's almost like that essential, almost like a survival kit, like survival and success kit, because again, just the things that you were pointing out with the overview, those are things, look, the artist may or may not know, and that's just not limited to art. That's still kind of tapping in to your experience in music and other areas. So you've got the series, the book series that's ongoing. You've got the art gallery. What are some things on the horizon, let's say any events that are upcoming, that you want people to be aware of, so they can not only see the space, support the space, but support the great people that you're basically supporting?
Yeah, definitely. So May 1st, we're actually having our very first physical reception. We've had a couple of physical events since everything shut down, end of March 2020. But pretty much the same art that was in the building when everything shut down is still in the building, that hasn't been sold since we've opened up a few times since then. Just because, the building was closed, so nobody could kind of get in or out to do anything anyway, so it couldn't go anywhere if I wanted it to. So we're refreshing. We're doing an opening reception May 1st. That Sunday, May 1st, is going to be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Above Art Studios in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's actually only a $10 donation to get in. We're going to have all new art on the walls. We're going to have artists in the building to do artist talk, so they can get Q&As. We'll have our food, we'll have our wine, we'll have a live band, we'll have our DJ. So you can really enjoy the whole time that you're there. Most often than not, we have to kick people out. So people are obviously having a good time. If you just go to a spot and you're just sitting there watching art, like, how long does that take? Particularly if you're not really into art. And some of the people that come might not be as big of a fan or a collector of art as I am, but they enjoy something that looks nice. So they might look at that painting for, 10 seconds to see it looks nice and keep it moving, while I might look at it for 2 or 3 minutes because, I'm looking for other things and I kind of want to get lost into that. So we're going to have that on May 1st to give people the opportunity to come back and also be able to get lost into that artwork. So that is the biggest thing. You can get tickets for that on aboveartstudios.com. You can actually just go to the website and, donate if you would like as well too. If you can't be in the place, you can just buy a ticket just to support. So you definitely appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, you are taking your experience from one area and you're definitely amplifying it for the arts, not only just awareness and education, but support and helping artists better support themselves. Under the lens of an author, you're providing access to information and resources that are helpful. You've got the event on May 1st. After that, what's next? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm definitely going to be working on, a couple more books. So I dropped the first one in 2019, Tripping Over Canvases, How to Open Your Own Art Gallery with No Prior Experience. I dropped the second one in 2020, December, so it's been a handful of months now. It's actually doing very well, and that's Tripping Over Canvases, How to Become a Successful Entrepreneur. And I'm currently in the process of outlining actually 2 more books. One is going to be the continuation of this series, so that'll be Tripping Over Canvases, How to Curate Your Way to Success. So that's going to be focusing on curators who are an integral part of the art world, and they usually have the freedom to go from different spot to different spot. So often they'll meet many more artists than gallerists to meet. and just have opportunities to activate different spaces. And it's a whole nother world. So so that's going to be on the horizon. And then I'm going to be teaming up with right now it's looking like 8 or 9 other gallerists, and I'm going to be doing most of the writing, but they'll all be contributing. We'll be having discussions. I'm probably just going to be transcribing a lot of things. But that's going to be another book, and that's going to be 2 gallery or not 2 gallery, because now a lot of artists have found themselves selling more pieces, maybe, even without anything being open. Because collectors have become a little more active than, sitting home and looking around and kind of stumbling across things. Now there are discussion points in there. Sometimes they might be moving more pieces, so the volume is going up, but it's less now, in terms of what they're getting per piece. But a lot of things were happening. Pandemic shifted a lot of things around, and we're just joining the discussion and dropping our points on that. So I got some some more writing to do, and just trying to give as many artist opportunities as I possibly can.
Well, I'll tell you what, all of that's outstanding. And before we go to our next commercial break, please remind our viewers the best ways to stay connected with you.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate it. They can catch us everywhere. All social media above Art Studios. Art is singular, studios is plural. You can visit us on our website, aboveartstudios.com. You can contact me on either one of those, or you can reach out to me as well on my personal website, which is imdmuse.com, and reach out to me over there. And I also have a podcast called The Art Life Podcast. You can actually just go to YouTube, just search The Art Life Podcast, and you'll see, I think we're on like a 5th or 6th episode now that I've posted. It's where art and commerce intersect. So we're interviewing full-time creatives so they can show, and share how they made it, how they're doing it, so other people can partake on that journey as well. And art administrators to show you different ways and, different careers and different paths to get into art and thrive and strive as a creative, doing what you love to do for a living. So, YouTube, the Art Life Podcast, check us out everywhere at Above Art Studios. Make sure you go to my site, imdmuse.com, and grab your Pay the Artist t-shirt, to support particularly Black artists. And, I would love to see you guys around anywhere I can.
Well, I tell you what, thank you as always for taking and making the time. Thanks for representing the home state. And what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our second commercial break, and we come back. Stick around as we have another way to add to your reading library. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. Hey, Hoops fans, make sure to spend part of your Saturday with the Georgia Spartans. Currently undefeated in semi-professional play through the United Men's Basketball League, check them out this coming Saturday. Tickets are $10, and remember, for kids 12 and under, it's free to attend. So again, check out some great hoops action this weekend. Make sure to mark your calendars for June 11th through 13th at the Renaissance Hotel in Orlando, Florida. An outstanding business pageant focusing on women's business leaders and entrepreneurs is taking place, so check out the information as provided and make sure to lend support for what should be a truly outstanding event. If you are looking for a magazine that provides awesome stories of ordinary women doing extraordinary things, check out Real Women Atlanta magazine. Visit them online. Make sure to pick up a copy at your local Kroger and Publix. And for businesses, there's some great sponsorship opportunities, so go ahead and check them out today. Remember, your hat is your crown. Live free today. With a custom line of fedoras for men and women inspired by Matthew 18:20, make sure to visit the website 1820hats.com, add them on social media, and more, especially in time for spring. And now, a word from our music sponsor. This is the author, Andrew Snorton, the host of the Conversation Corner, airing every second and fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Status Network, the live TV channel. We're so excited to have the Ear Candy Experience as our official music sponsor. So make sure to check out the show and make sure to check them out. And remember, Let's have a conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our third guest on the Conversation Corner. You know, I have my dress shoes on, but I think I need to go ahead and break my track shoes out. So we've had two great guests, and you know, 2 is a company, 3 is a crowd, and this is another, a little bit of everything: author, nonprofit, entrepreneur, on a television show, and look at here, libations. This is a first. Oh, we know where we're gonna do after this one. We have the one and only DL Collins joining us tonight. DL, how you doing?
Man, it was tired just listening at you say what I do, you know? I'm worn out just from you telling me what I do.
Well, I, for one, am glad you are doing what you do. And before we get into all 5,100 of your moving parts, let our viewers know where you are from, where you're based out of, and what would you say, there's always like a series of moments, but what's one key moment that you feel gave you the push to be like, hey, there's a lot of gifts inside of me that I'm holding myself back from, and I need to get out of my own way.
Right. And it's crazy because we're right here in East Point. I was actually born here in East Point, right up the street, a little small project called Martell Homes. Mm-hmm. It was me and my mom. She was a single mom. And I remember as a child, I didn't see nonprofits and a lot of people doing a lot for us as kids in the community. I mean, I don't remember any nonprofits growing up. I remember we needed resources, but our family did what they have to do to get what they had to get. So, you know, growing up, I said, you know what, I want to change that. You know, I want the kids that come up in single family households to know that it is resources, it is outlets. I mean, it's companies or nonprofits out there that will teach them and educate them and help them be better. So that was my motivation, me not having it growing up and me giving back. I know how it felt coming up in a single family household. Mm-hmm. You know, we couldn't get everything we wanted, you know. It is what it is, and I understand now, but I want to provide resources for my community.
So here you are, and it's the proverbial, we see you where you are, but we don't know what you've been led through in order to get here. Right. So as you said, your family upbringing was definitely a key catalyst. So you have the want. What would you say gave you that next push, whether that leap of faith, that first step, like Dr. King said, still, and I'm paraphrasing, still make the steps even though you can't see the staircase. Walk through with our viewers that process and how it led you to the moving parts you've got going on now.
Got you. So I've always been in finance growing up, and I'm mainly the mortgage side, real estate. And people, I would always pre-qualify people. People would come to me, and our people, just situations were so messed up. No savings, jacked up checking account, bad credit. And it's crazy because I say this so much, but when I ask people what happened to you, what was your situation? Why is your credit like this? Why is your finances this way? They all would say the exact same thing. Nobody never taught me what credit scores were or how to manage credit scores. You know, my family lived check to check. Like, we didn't know about savings. Like, so my mom didn't sit me down and teach me how to balance a checking account. So listening to all these people talk, I said, you know what? It's got to be something that I can do to change this. So I decided to start a nonprofit organization that teach financial literacy to kids in this generation, so they won't go through the same thing that our parents and the previous generations went through. So that's what led me the nonprofit organization.
So let our viewers know the name of the nonprofit, and in addition to the financial literacy, which really, because you're starting early, that's seed planting. In addition to financial literacy, what are some of the other components that your nonprofit covers?
Well, it started with financial literacy, teaching kids about savings, how to start their own business. Not only do kids, y'all got to know how to start a business, but you got to know how to market it. I mean, how are you going to run a successful business if you don't know the key components of marketing it? And a lot of kids don't have money for marketing, so guess what? I teach you the elements of free marketing. So it started with that, and then the need came out I got a call from the state saying, "Hey, is your nonprofit willing to feed kids in low income areas as well? We will be willing to fund your organization if you could do this." So I got into not only teaching financial literacy but feeding kids in low income areas as well. We was feeding up to 5,000 kids a day. So that was the next compartment of what we're doing. After that, the holidays would come around. I know it was so many families sending emails and texts. Is there any resources for me for food for my kids, for toys for my kids? And so I reached out to several of my, sponsors and other businesses and said, look, guys, are you willing to donate toys and clothes and coats? And we need blankets for homeless shelters and transitional houses and, socks and gloves. And the outpour was, it was unbelievable, the support that we got from our community. So at that point, we go from feeding, teaching financial literacy to now we're providing thousands of toys and clothes and hats and coats and stuff to kids around the holidays, and also feeding Thanksgiving. So, wherever the need is in my community, I step up and I answer the call. And that's where it spiraled from.
And I tell you what, it's recognition of the gifts and talents that you have, and understanding, just like you articulated, when you're doing things for the greater good and greater purpose, you'll to varying degrees, you'll be surprised where your support comes from. Like you said, you had a government agency that's like, we see what you're doing. Here's what we want to do to amplify the work that you're doing. And then when you talked about the toy piece, people saw the need and the merit and are like, here's what we're going to do. We finna do a little something. And even in doing a little something and going back to the seed planting, that's not only with what you're doing with the nonprofit, but as an accomplished author, walk through with us the books that you've done, the different themes that you're covering, and how this is still building on that seed planting. Like, the only thing you're missing is that bag of like seed and just sowing it around and all. I'm surprised you didn't bring it today. You brought everything else. But why did you bring that?
I didn't bring that. Exactly. So, I genuinely feel like for some particular reason, this is my calling. I feel like this is something that God wants me to do. We built a nonprofit organization, and the turning point there was we won Nonprofit of the Year. And that made me see that the community really did see what I was doing, but God came to me and said, you still not doing enough. I still need you. Your assignment is not over. So I said, okay, God, what you want me to do now? He said, you got to reach more people. All right, so I'm thinking, how do I reach more kids? I'm helping the kids in my community, and it came to me, write a book. If you write a book, you won't just touch the kids in your community. You got worldwide exposure. So I said, let me put financial literacy, let me figure out a way to teach kids financial literacy in a book to keep it fun, keep it entertaining. So I came up with the concept Sally Saver. Sally Saver, I don't know if you remember the books back in the day. Do you remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Yeah, I got those that was like my favorite.
Right,
and
that was my favorite
but then
too.
You'd be a little bit sneaking, like let me read through to see what adventure I want to do and choose that outcome. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote my book around that same concept. Okay. So it was these kids are going on an adventure, say it's a treasure adventure. They find this gold. They bring it back, to their community. And now what do you do with it? Do you A, turn to page blah, 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 and you blow the money and buy all kind of stuff? Or do you B, put back into your community, start a business, blah, 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 blah. And whichever way they turn, that's where the journey will go with the book. You make the right decision, the book will take you and teach you different things down that path.
Right.
So that's the concept of my book, Sally Saver. So teaching kids. The first book was teaching kids saving, entrepreneurship, and giving back to the community. The second book is teaching credit, how credit works, credit scores, utilization, and all that different kind of stuff. And now I'm working on my third book, which should come out September 2022, which is going to teach kids about investing. Because I don't know if you noticed, everybody's getting into this in digital currency and stocks. And so now I'm learning that. I'm actually learning it through my team, and I'm going to put some of that in the third book because kids want to actually invest in stocks now. So I want to teach them how to do that.
And it's awesome that you're talking about that because that aligns thematically with the seed planning you're doing through your foundation. So to varying degrees, it's like you're duplicating things that you know they're going to help people, and you're identifying what are platforms where you can, I don't know, I'm a fish person, where you can cast a wider net and catch a few more fish. Hopefully it's salmon. You know,
exactly.
That's me.
Whiting.
Yes, whiting. Yeah, yes, sir.
We came up on whiting.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fish and grits. Hey, that wasn't just a Georgia thing. Kentucky in the building.
Absolutely.
Yes, so you've got these great moving parts. Nonprofit, writing. Talk with us briefly before we get into the spirits. Talk with us briefly about the business component you have through, like you had mentioned earlier, through real estate, and talk with us a little bit about your show experience. Because if memory serves me correct, you're actually on a pilot or something.
Yeah, we're a cast member. Yeah. So I mean, the real estate. Once you get into real estate and you build those relationships, I'm actually helping people's grandkids that I helped back in the late 90s. I got in real estate in 98, and I never stopped. I just went from mortgages to actually being a real estate agent. So that's one of those things I actually do for enjoyment. I just like looking at new houses and showing new houses, and that's just for enjoyment.
So in other words, it's part reminder of dream building for you.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, I've got the means to help other people build dreams. Let me see what I can do.
Exactly.
And then this ties in with the whole cycle of the financial literacy and all these things. So it's just like you're the one-stop shop.
One-stop shop for financial literacy.
Look at you.
So I get a call from my PR saying that a new show was coming out that highlight entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs in Atlanta and some of their pitfalls. And I'm thinking, okay. And she was like, it's a reality show. I'm like, okay. You know, that could go either way.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I'm like, do I want to? My mom was like, no, you don't want to be on them ratchet shows and all that cursing.
Your mom
and
knows the word ratchet.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Look at shouts to your moms, for real.
Oh my gosh, she begged me, don't do it. Don't do it. You write children's books. You don't want to be singing in that light. I'm thinking all reality shows can't be like violent, trashy, cursing. So I said, you know what? It's entrepreneurship. I'll do it. So I jumped on it, and guess what? Drama. Just like
Drama
any other,
in regards to like
everything.
Just the verbiage.
Women.
Like, we are so serious and focused here. We're using 4 and 5 syllable words. Or is it 4 and 5 letter words? Which one?
Both. You never know which one you're gonna get. But whenever you're dealing, it's only a handful. It's like 2 or 3 guys on the show, and a whole bunch of women.
Okay.
And I mean, whenever you got a whole bunch of women, it's gonna be drama. And then the show is crazy because the show do things outside of the show to make us not like each other. Crazy, right?
But
they start problems outside of the show, so when the show airs.
So in other words, what you're saying is this is an exercise in discipline and focus.
Yes.
And you are seeing that you are getting more disciplined than ever before.
I am.
I gotta be more focused than ever before.
Yes.
And that is why you are here tonight.
Absolutely.
Exactly. We're just gonna keep it there. We're gonna keep it there. So after all these moving parts, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, you are 21 and older. You can see the salt and pepper makes it legit. Every once in a while, you died. I can't. You know, after I saw my boy Ron, it's like it's hope for me.
Oh, Ron, I know. The ladies just love Ron.
They're like, is that real? Yeah, this is real. Yes, ma'am. Sure is.
Maybe I need to dye gray.
I'm just embracing my salt and pepper. I'm just gonna say that. And I'm using that as a fun and creative way. And of course, we want people to be responsible. I mean, we're cracking a few jokes here, but all seriousness, when it comes to libations, it's about being responsible.
Right.
Now, having said all that, when it's time for you to prop your feet up and have your glass and whether you have it neat or otherwise, trade secret just gave you. Thank me later. Walk through with us the the beverage that you have here, and how did that come about?
Okay, so November, October, I went to the doctor and did my annual physical, and my doctor told me that I was pre-diabetic. My sugar was high, low energy, tingling sensation in my feet, dryness in the mouth, to where my doctor told me, you're like a few days away from being full-blown diabetic. And I said, you know what, doc, I can't accept that. I can't. If it's pre, that means that I can fight it. I can change it. So I left that office, and I remember I changed my eating. I started exercising. That was actually, it was between October and November. Here it is now, April. I've lost 35 pounds. I went back to the doctor last week. She said all signs of diabetes is gone. My sugar is perfect.
Awesome.
My health is great. I mean, I fought it. I beat it. So I'm super excited because I'm like, okay, I'm feeling healthy again.
Right. So
I go to this this mixer, which is a meet and greet, red carpet event, and when I get there, everybody's so excited. They pulling me. You gotta try this alcohol. You gotta try this alcohol. I'm like, no, I can't. I refuse. You know, I'm on my health kick.
Right.
So they like, no, this alcohol is vegan with all natural fruit, no sugar. And I'm saying like,
whoa,
wait a minute. So I'm like, okay. So I go over, I talk to the owner, I taste the alcohol, and she walked me through the entire process. And it's natural fruit, pineapples, I think pear and dragon oranges. You can even see the little pineapple, little particles
little
in
seeds.
it.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's all natural and vegan. And I'm like, this woman have something, because everybody, well, a lot of people want to drink, but they don't want the calories.
Right.
And they don't want,
some of the other stuff.
Exactly. So I said, this is perfect. This is something I can even do and not have to worry about my sugar increasing.
Good.
So I went to her, I told her, you got a great product. This is anything you need as far as help, blah, blah, blah. I will support you. And the next day, my office put me with the owner of the company, and she actually asked me to be a spokesperson for the alcohol. And I'm thinking like, you have to be an athlete or a rapper to get endorsements. But I'm like,
I'm gonna say this. I will say this to bring in that overtone. You can be qualified.
Right.
And you just happen to be amongst the qualified.
Right.
And it didn't matter how big or small your platform is.
Right.
You were qualified to do so.
Right.
And that's all there is to it.
Right. She said she heard my story, and and I'm thinking this is another component that I can teach kids. Kids, y'all don't have to be athletes or rappers to get endorsements. So now the attorneys are negotiating the profit sharing and the signing bonus and all that different kind of stuff. Also, but the main component to my contract was, if I support your label, you have to do for my nonprofit communities.
Exactly.
I mean, off the top, like a percentage of everything you make got to go back into my community. And that was the main part of the contract, that was the first thing they agreed to. So it still ties back now, still giving back to my community.
Wow. So, I tell you what, whenever you have people in here that are able to talk and walk through their moving parts and everything, it lets our viewers know it is possible. And I know people talk about me, Drew, you just traveled such and such and this and that, but it's like, but you know what? You're thankful and grateful for the gifts that you have.
Yes.
And when you see them come into play and you see how you can positively impact people, you keep feeding off of that. And like you were alluding to before, you do take time to pause and celebrate, as well you should, because you know what you've had to work through and been led through to get here.
Right.
But you also know that there's more on the horizon, and you keep feeding off of that. And that's a message that a lot of our guests have brought in. And I wanted to reinforce that message, as people are hearing from you today. So before we go to our last commercial break, and you're going to be with us when we close out anyway, two things. Number one, there's a lot of life lessons you learned. What's one lesson that you'd like to share for our viewers out there? And then the second is let our viewers know the best ways to stay connected, engaged, and supporting your moving parts. So if you're not a person who's a libation person, no, nothing wrong with that. Reading, nonprofits, the financial literacy, all that. So again, the two things before we go to break, what's one nugget or one piece of insight you'd like to share with our viewers? And then the second thing is what are the best ways for people to stay connected and engaged?
The one thing I would tell my viewers to do, and this, guys, this is so important. You know, with all this COVID and all that stuff happen, you know, interest rates are low, people are buying houses and that. When you guys get ready, parents, when you get ready to go into the bank to buy a house, take your kids in there with you. Let them sit with you and listen to what that loan officer is saying. You know, we're good at telling the kids, stay out in the lobby, play on your cell phone, do what you do, and I'm taking care of this grown folks' business. But when I bought my house, I took my son in with me, right? And I told him, ask questions. You know, when the banker said, okay, you need bank statements, I said, okay, I need you to explain to my son why I need bank statements and what bank statements are. When he said you need W-2s, okay, I need you to explain to my son why do you need W-2s and what are the importance of W-2. You know, that's how kids actually learn. So and it's crazy and it works. Let me tell you why. Because my son graduated college last year, and we was talking about him buying a house coming up within the next year, and it's crazy because he came to me. He said, Dad, he said, I know I'm gonna be ready to buy a house soon. He said, but I know I gotta get up. It's so much paperwork. I know I gotta have so much. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know my job stuff, my bank. So this shows you, you know, if I'm sitting down talking to a banker about my credit, why can't he explain to my son what credit is and why these credit components are important? That's what he's getting paid to do. He's a banker for me and my family. So take your kids, whenever you open a savings account, checking account, buy a house, take them in there with you and let them ask questions. Make sure that the banker explains to them everything that you're doing, so when they become adults, they know how to do it. They know they got some kind of idea of what they're going to need. So that's the one thing I try to give my parents, guys. That I'm telling you, it works.
Wow, some great advice. And before we go to our last commercial break, please let our viewers know the best ways to stay connected and engaged with you.
Absolutely. So the Literacy for Youth Foundation, we always need supporters and volunteers. You can actually go on the website. That's literacy, 4youth.org. And you can find us there, register to be a volunteer, come out and help. I'm on IG, author D.L. Collins. That's author like the writer, D.L. Collins. I'm also on Facebook if you guys want to follow me. And it's my government name, Demetrius. That's DEMEITRICE Collins. And that's on Facebook. So please follow me. Send me a message, whatever. We got so many community events coming up, things for the kids for this summer. One other thing, we just Cash Money Records is one of our sponsors as well.
Awesome.
I just want to send a shout out. Thank you, Cash Money Records. We're putting together an event this summer that's going to be huge in Forest Park. And Cash Money Records didn't hesitate to write us a check to cover everything. So we want to thank Cash Money Records for being one of our great sponsors for the Literacy for Youth Foundation. So yeah, so that's how you can follow us, guys, and information will be on the site, so you can bring the kids out. We're gonna have a ball. We're gonna have horses, bouncy houses. The slingshots are coming out. Food trucks, performances. Cash Money Records is gonna bring artists out. So just stay tuned.
Okay, and you heard it here. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our last commercial break. Then we come back, a short closeout. So this is the Conversation Corner.
All right.
Are you or someone you know a filmmaker? If so, and if you've done a short film, documentary, or standard film, connect with us today at Status Films. Visit us at the information provided at the bottom of the screen. That way, with our platforms, we can help you grow and expand your audience reach. If you're looking for merch from the author, look no further than a bracelet or a mug. And yes, you can actually pair these with any of the books I've done, which will be a perfect gift in time for those great days coming up in May. So connect with me and let's make it happen. Thank you to all the media outlets, including 1380 AM WAOK with Too Much Truth with Derek Bozeman, as well as my upcoming interview with Cortez Mac TV. And don't forget these and other great outlets to find out more. So thank you for supporting me. Speaking of support, thank you to all the stores, book clubs, and more for supporting me and other awesome authors. Make sure to connect with Black Writers Workspace, Detroit Book City, and Phoenix Blue Inc., and more, who have definitely helped me and more. Make sure to add the Author's Mixtape to your audiobook series. It's available on almost 300 different platforms. In fact, you definitely want to check out Volume 4, the collab, as we're featuring the work of Chris 10, music, spoken word, all freestyle. Speaking of, check this out.
Rise and shine. Time to get on the grind. What's on your mind? Is it how the time rewinds when you are flowing in your purpose, but it's worth it? All right, now snap out of it. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Make it happen. You relaxing and time is passing you by. Time flies. Have you ever seen your idea floating across the TV screen only to realize it wasn't you? I mean, it was your idea, but you sat on it because you thought.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're back with our final remarks. We've had a great show, 3 great guests, one of whom decided to stick around for this last part. But as we get ready to finally close out our show, there's a couple of short, announcements, reflections. We do this from time to time. So let's go ahead and get our first photo up. Many people in hip hop are familiar with the artist DMX, otherwise known as Earl Simmons. And looking back after Biggie and Tupac passed and there was that void, not only did he fill the void, but I think unapologetic and being open with his trials, tribulations, and his faith. He unfortunately passed on Friday. So of course, prayers, condolences, and encouragement to all, but just someone who we hear the term real. I tell you what, this was definitely one of the more real artists of the last 25 years or so. So shouts to DMX. The next photo we'd like to show, a lot of people are getting reacquainted with the George Floyd situation because of, I'll just be blunt, the officer that cold blank killed him. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I talked about it earlier in my live chat today. And then to put kerosene on a fire, an unarmed man who was pulled over because of air freshener. Let's marinate on that for a moment, air freshener. And the irony is George Floyd's girlfriend actually taught Dontae right. So she's getting it twofold. So our prayers and encouragement go up to the families of George Floyd and Dontae Wright. And I will say this, and I said this in a post, and I'll go ahead and say it now. Get rid of qualified immunity. It's an overdue start. Do some research and holler at me next week, or 2 weeks from now. Now on to something a little bit more lighthearted. Shouts to the Stone Mountain Lithonia chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. They are doing a virtual book fair this Saturday, and I am excited to be one of the authors on there. So my scheduled time is 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So some way, shape, or form, I'll take a break from my book signing up at the Music City Diamond Classic. Hey, technology. Hey, I'm thankful and grateful, but please check them out 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm thankful to be part of that. And our last shout before we close out, many of you know I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, but some of you might not know, as of yesterday, 30 years. Oh my goodness. I've been a member longer than some people have been alive, so I don't know if that's good or not so good. But shouts to the people pictured there, starting on the top row, Jeff Bradshaw, Dr. Eric Irvin, Gregory Davis, attorney at law. Then the middle row, Dr. Nate French, Dr. Terry Wyke. On the bottom row, Melvin in Herndon, John Taylor, and some kid from New Jersey that actually took a picture that's at Dallas, Texas. Somebody, I get, that might be me. Yeah, it is me. So shouts to my Line brothers and shouts to members of not only Alpha Phi Alpha, but all of our Greek letter organizations. Keep doing the great work we are charged to do. And at this point in time, thank you to our producer for working with us and what have you. And thanks to the entire Status Network team. The next live broadcast will be 2 weeks from today, April 28th. And the last thing that I'll say, whether slow or swift, movement is movement. So do not mitigate or minimize the movement that you're making. So y'all take good care. We'll see you in 2 weeks.